Hello. I wasn't going to do a personal introduction to any more of my book reviews, but I'm making an exception for this book, Painting into the Light by Jenny Aitken. I have met Jenny on a couple of occasions, and the last time I met her, she was exhibiting at Patchings, which is an art festival here in the UK every July. It's a wonderful 3 or 4 day event where lots of artists get together and display their work, and there are demonstrations and sometimes workshops that you can participate in. And I went on one of Jenny's workshops a couple of years ago. She's an exceptional tutor, and I got chatting to her a few weeks ago, and I told her about my YouTube channel, and I'm very flattered, but Jenny asked if I would review her book. So if you're watching, Jenny, this is the book review. It's probably slightly longer than my usual book reviews, but the reason is there is so much information in this book of Jenny's. It is one of the best books, oil painting books, that I've got. It's so beautifully laid out with so much detail crammed into the pages, yet it's not cluttered. It's really easy to read, and there are 10 projects in the book, and I cannot recommend it highly enough. It's well worth it. So I hope you enjoy the review. You can speed me up if you wish, and not listen to me blabbering on as I try and explain the content within the pages. So I will shut up now and let's get on with it, and I hope you enjoy it. Thank you. So, Painting into the Light by Jenny Aitken. Inside the front cover, we have a gorgeous spread of a painting called Forest Light. The original is 100 by 80 centimetres, so it's a very large painting. The colours are just gorgeous, and like all Jenny's work, she manages to make her paintings glow without making the colours appear garish. Here is a lovely photograph of Jenny, where she's written her dedication and acknowledgements for the book. We have the contents page, and there are 10 step-by-step projects for you to follow. And over the page, we have a foreword by David Curtis, another amazing artist. David says, "This book is a testament to Jenny's extraordinary energy in celebrating her love of painting into the light. The paintings in this book will delight all who celebrate subjects depicting dazzling light." It's quite an honour to have a foreword written by David. In the introduction, Jenny tells us she spent most of her artistic life studying the magic of light. Contre-jour painting, looking into the source of the light, takes this illusion to the next level. A successful result will cause the viewer to squint into the glow emerging from the canvas. Through stage-by-stage painting demonstrations and clear methods of working, Jenny will show you how to bring every painting to life with light. I mean, just look at this lovely painting called Beach Dancing. Even though this is a photograph and a video and we're not looking at the original, it does actually make you want to squint, and the colours are just gorgeous. Jenny states the main message she would like you to take away from this book is to slow down and stare, look more, and then look again. In this chapter, Jenny explains what tools and preparation we need in order to capture light both indoors and outside, and emphasises you don't need to have a large airy studio to produce beautiful work. Indoor lighting is key to a good painting and will determine your colour choices. So at the very least, it's important to have a consistently lit space. And Jenny provides some important advice on measuring light and colour, which will be really helpful. Some advice and hints and tips for working outdoors, and how to deal with any distractions that interrupt your flow. Here Jenny tells us what her favourite brushes are, and also how to look after brushes, because they can be expensive and it's important you take care of them. Here Jenny lists the oil paint she uses in her palette. Jenny particularly likes Michael Harding oil paints. This is an image of a colour wheel that Jenny has painted using the essential colours from her own palette. She suggests it's worth experimenting and creating your own colour wheel in order that you can judge the strength of the colours, the paints that you have in your paint box. This brings us to the first exercise in this lovely book, a tonal seascape. And before we start working with juicy colour, Jenny says there's a great deal to be learnt from monochrome tonal painting. Look how lovely the finished exercise is, and it's only been painted with two colours, Payne's Grey and white. In Chapter 2, Jenny teaches us good composition, colour and contrast. The aim is to create the illusion of light, and the object of contre-jour painting is to convince the eye that you are directly facing the sun enough to make you squint. And even looking at this image in the book, you can actually see the light glowing from Jenny's work. It's absolutely breathtaking. In the pages on composition, Jenny teaches us how to guide the eye around and around the painting and to create a journey, and gives us some compositional tips to avoid a central focal point and to make things balanced, and how to connect all areas of a painting. Jenny's section on colour is one of the most useful and helpful that I've read in an art book. She teaches us how to see colour clearly, and in particular how to mix colour and a rainbow of greys, and says that grey is essential and the key to understanding how to paint contre-jour. On page 47 of the book, Jenny provides us with her basic mixing chart. We come to the third section of what Jenny calls her 3 C's, composition, colour and contrast. The contrast section is really useful. Jenny discusses contrast between light and dark, warm and cold, opaque and transparent, saturated and grey, thick and thin paint, detail and softness. These 2 pages alone, I personally think, are worth the price of the book. So useful. In the projects that follow, Jenny shows us how to use the 3 C's together. And we'll begin with a project that's close to Jenny's heart. Her love of contre-jour was sparked by her love of the sea and the sparkle reflecting off the water. In this project, The Sparkling Ocean, Jenny will show you how to develop zones of colour gradually in order to depict hazy sunlight and distance. The project is broken down into broad stages with explanations of what needs to be done at every stage, so you can follow along. And alongside the instructions, Jenny has put her notes and thoughts on general aspects of painting similar subjects, so you can explore further on your own. Over the next few pages, Jenny gives us guidance on how to paint the sea as it's constantly moving, one of which is to look for patterns, and gives us a detailed breakdown of the anatomy of a wave. When I look at this painting, I can actually hear the sea. I can imagine the way the water is moving and hear the sound as the wave crashes into the rock. This painting is so beautiful. You can feel the sunshine and everything. And finally, some really useful hints and tips on how to portray perspective. In Chapter 3, Jenny shows us how to simplify our work and how to say a lot with less. There are 2 projects in this chapter. One is portraits and one is a woodland scene. I'm pausing on this image for a moment. A few years ago, I was fortunate enough to attend a workshop with Jenny Aitken, and this image is very similar to the one that we painted. But I just love the colours in this. They're so subtle, and if you look closely, you can really see Jenny's brush marks. It's very minimal, and yet it's such a beautiful painting, and it really conveys the light in the scene. Before we start the first project in this section, portraits, Jenny talks about light and how it falls on faces. And this is a very detailed step-by-step demonstration of painting a portrait. There's something for everybody in Jenny's book. It's not just about landscapes. Here Jenny shows us how to create figures and how they can look like the light is shining from behind them, contre-jour. In the second project in this section, Jenny tells us to go big. It helps you to resist the urge for detail. In the woodland project, Jenny tells you exactly what you'll need to follow along, and she goes into detail about painting large tree trunks, branches, distant winter trees, summer trees, fir trees, twigs, grasses and sticks. And here's the final painting. Chapter 4 covers painting en plein air, or painting outside, and Jenny says this requires a different type of skill, very different from painting indoors. Jenny provides us with some tips for finding a good spot, a good composition, and suggests that if you feel a bit intimidated, try finding a painting buddy to go along with you, and provides us with some tips for painting at speed because the light will be changing rapidly. The next project is all about capturing sparkle on water. I don't know a single landscape artist that hasn't wanted to do that effectively. And here is the finished painting. I think it's just amazing the way the image is just emanating light. And very useful details about evaluating your plein air work. I love how Jenny describes it. Is it a keeper for framing, a keeper for reference, part finished, or a scraper? And tells us this happens fairly often to her. The next project is a still life, and Jenny shares her advice on how to get a good composition and how to light it effectively, and provides us with very detailed step-by-step information and images. When trying to capture atmosphere, Jenny tells us that what we're trying to paint is not the scene in front of us, but the light, and provides us with some helpful tips on painting cold distance and snow. In the next project, we're going to paint mountains, and Jenny very kindly provides us with a page detailing exactly what colours she's used all over the different areas of the painting. Just look at the final painting, it's glorious. In chapter 6, we'll paint a harbour scene, and Jenny comments that she's a slave to the light, and for her, eye-catching impact is everything. She wants to be startled by the light in a painting, not the accuracy of the drawing. She wants the painting to grab you immediately. Some helpful tips on painting sailboats. In the final chapter, Jenny covers the importance of brushstrokes. I really love this painting of a splashing oyster catcher. Here Jenny explains how to use lost edges to draw your eye to the focus of a painting, and the importance of the direction of your brushstrokes. This brings us to the final project in the book, the oyster catcher. And once again, Jenny explains exactly what you'll need and provides step-by-step pictures and instructions to create a beautiful finished painting. Here Jenny reminds us that everything in painting is just colour and shapes, and nowhere is this more true than for clouds. In the afterword, Jenny tells us that writing this book at every turn has prompted the question, why do I do things the way I do? And Jenny thanks you for reading and wishes you happy painting. The observant among you may notice there's a corner missing from the back of the book. Well, my puppy got to the book before I could get to it when it came through the letterbox. I could have sent the book back and got a replacement, but I didn't think that was the honest thing to do. In Japanese, there is a word, kintsugi. I hope I've pronounced that correctly. Kintsugi inspires us to embrace our flaws and accept them as part of life. Therefore, I've decided to embrace the bitten off chewed corner of Jenny's book, and if you're watching, Jenny, I'm very sorry, but it'll forever remind me of my little puppy. Hello. Well, if you stayed to the end, I hope you got value out of my book review. It was very detailed. I don't really do book flips as they're called, where you just flick through the pages. I do try and share with viewers what the books contain. And as I said at the beginning of the video, I can't recommend this book enough. I really can't. Do go out and buy it. It covers everything. It's not just landscapes, there's still life, there's portraits, there's absolutely everything in here, seascapes. And I've seen Jenny's work and it really does glow with light. When I saw her work the other week, I could have bought all of her paintings. They were so beautiful. And she's an excellent tutor. So if you get the opportunity to go on one of Jenny's workshops, please do. Because not only is she a really nice lady, she's very, very good at teaching. So once again, if you got value from the book review, please give it a thumbs up. It does help me. It helps YouTube to recommend my videos to other people. And if you'd like to subscribe, please do that. Down in the description, I've put a link to Jenny's website, and there's a couple of YouTube videos as well. I've put a link to her YouTube channel also. And if you've any requests for any books, I've got hundreds. I have already done a couple of requests for some lovely subscribers, and I'd happily do one for you too. So please leave your comments down below because I read and respond to every one. Anyway, for now, happy painting.